What really happens inside a wire when you slowly turn up the voltage? Do electrons suddenly start running faster, or is there something deeper happening at the microscopic level? Hello students, in the previous video we discussed an important concept of drift velocity. We saw how constant electric field provided by the battery pushes charge carriers inside a conductor and produces electric current. These are some equations which we discussed in the last video and we need in this video as well. Let us take that understanding one step further. Let's see what happens when we increase the voltage using a variable battery. As we increase the voltage, we are actually increasing the electric field inside a conductor.
This is because we know that V equals EL, where L is the length of the conductor. So, if voltage increases, the electric field increases. And as the electric field increases, the drift velocity of charge carrier electrons also increases. This tells us that drift velocity Vd is directly proportional to electric field E. When we remove the proportionality sign, we introduce a constant called mu, which is known as the mobility of the charge carrier. The mobility of a charge carrier in a particular medium is defined as the drift velocity produced in a medium when the applied electric field is unity. Because when electric field is 1, the drift velocity becomes numerically equals to mobility. Mobility is not a universal constant. Mobility is a material property that tells us how easily charge carriers can move through a medium under the influence of an electric field. Or we can say electrical mobility is a material property that measures the average drift velocity of charge carriers per unit electric field. Mobility mu equals drift velocity Vd divided by electric field E. If we substitute this value of drift velocity into the mobility equation and simplify, we get mobility equals q tau divided by m. Now let us understand this equation. Q is the charge of the carrier. We can write E or minus E depending on whether the charge carrier is positive or negative. This is a universal constant. Tau is the relaxation time, which is the same for a given material, and m is the mass of the charge carrier. So from this equation, we can clearly say that mobility depends completely on the material. Now let us find the unit of mobility. From Vd by E, drift velocity has unit meter per second and electric field has unit volt per meter. So the unit of mobility becomes meter square per volt per second. We also observe that when voltage or potential difference is increased, drift velocity increases, and as a result current also increases. The relationship between voltage and current was explained by a great scientist named Georg Simon Ohm. To understand this, consider a circuit in which we have a battery with variable voltage, a conducting wire, an ammeter connected in series to measure current, a resistor, and a voltmeter connected in parallel across the resistor. In this experiment, voltage is applied across the conductor and the current flowing through it is observed. Now, observe the readings. When the voltage is increased to 1 volt, the current becomes 0.1 ampere. When the voltage is increased to 2 volts, the current becomes 0.2 ampere. And for 3 volts, the current becomes 0.3 ampere. We can clearly see that the numerical value of current is not equal to voltage, but they show a direct proportional relationship. This observation tells us that the conducting wire in a circuit and the resistor is offering a fixed opposition to the flow of current. In this case, that opposition is 10 ohm and it remains the same for all readings. This fixed opposition offered is called resistance, and the device used in a circuit to provide a fixed opposition is called a resistor. Compared to a resistor, the resistance of a connecting wires is very small, so in circuit analysis, it is usually neglected. We observe that current is directly proportional to voltage, and when we remove proportionality sign, we get V equals Ri or IR, where resistance R equals V by I. This relation is called Ohm's law, which states at constant temperature and other physical conditions, the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference or voltage applied across it. If we plot this relation on a graph, we always get a straight line. In our example, 1 volt gives 0.1 ampere, 2 volts gives 0.2 ampere, and 3 volts gives 0.3 ampere. The slope of the Vi graph is V by I, which is 10 in this case, and this slope represents the resistance, which is 10 ohm. One important thing to note down is that in this VI graph, where V is in y-axis and I is in x-axis, higher slope means higher resistance and lower slope means lower resistance. Okay, now it's time to understand resistance in more detail. Every conductor has some resistance of its own, but a resistor is a device designed to provide a fixed amount of resistance in a circuit. In a circuit, a resistor protects important devices by converting extra electrical energy into heat. But how does this happen inside a resistor? A basic resistor consists of a ceramic core at the center, a carbon coating over it, and two terminals. When current flows, it passes through the carbon layer. Carbon naturally has the ability to oppose current due to its atomic structure. Electrons face frequent collisions, and because of these collisions, electrons lose their energy, which is released as heat inside the resistor. So the question is, where is this energy coming from continuously? The answer is obvious, from the battery. When a battery maintains a potential difference V across a conductor, it creates an electric field inside the conductor. This electric field does work on the charge carriers and continuously keep them moving. Now we have already studied in this chapter on electrostatic potential and capacitance that potential difference is defined as V equals work done divided by charge, that is work per unit charge. So the work done by the electric field on a charge Q can be written as work done equals QV. Now let us connect this with power. Power is defined as work done per unit time. So we can write power equals work done divided by time. We already know that work done is QV. So power becomes power equals QV divided by T. But charge per unit time, that is Q by T, is nothing but current I. So finally we get power supplied by the battery equals VI. We know that unit of power is joule per second and joule is unit of work done or energy. So power represents the rate at which the battery supplies electrical energy to the charges. The same charges continue to flow through the circuit, only their energy is converted into heat. This power is dissipated as heat inside the resistor. To see this clearly, we use Ohm's law. V equals IR, where R is constant. Substitute this into P equals VI. So power becomes P equals I square R. This equation tells us something very important. Heat produced is directly proportional to the square of current and also directly proportional to resistance. So resistor of different resistance will have different amount of heat dissipation. So higher current means more collision and more heat. Higher resistance also means more energy loss as heat. Now, from basic definition of power, power equals energy divided by time. We can write energy equals power into time. Substitute power equals I square R. So we get electrical energy equals I square RT. This equation gives the energy consumed in a resistor of resistance R when a current I flow through it for time t and is exactly equal to the energy supplied by the battery during the same time. If the current is changing with time, then we must write energy in its general integral form. So electrical energy becomes energy equals integration from 0 to time t of I square R dt. Now, from all this, we can write the power supplied by the battery in different equivalent forms. We already know power equals VI. Using Ohm's law, V equals IR. We get power equals I square R. And if we write current as I equals V divided by R and substitute into P equals VI, we get P equals V squared divided by R. Each form is useful depending on which quantities are known in a given problem. Okay, now let's come back to a resistor. To make resistors of different resistance values, we create helical groups of different lengths and thickness in the carbon layer. As you can see in the animation, this makes the current flow a longer path from one end to the other. A longer path means more collisions and hence more heat dissipation. The more the grooves, the higher the resistance, and this is how resistors of different values are made. The ceramic core provides mechanical support and helps in heat dissipation. And the outer insulating coating ensures safety and protects the resistor from environmental and physical damage. Now it is very important to understand one thing clearly. A resistor reduces the current in a circuit, but this does not mean that the current entering the resistor is more and the current leaving it is less. Why? Because if we connect a low resistance resistor, the entire circuit instantly allows more current to flow. And if we increase the resistance, the entire circuit instantly adjusts and allow less current to flow. This means the current we observe in the circuit is already influenced by the resistor. This is because electrons in a conductor behaves like an incompressible fluid. If resistance increases at one end, it slows down the entire flow and adjusts the current throughout the whole circuit. Even though electrons continuously collide with atoms and lose energy, the constant electric field provided by the battery continuously accelerates them. As a result, a steady average drift velocity is established. Here, the energy gained from the electric field is exactly equal to the energy lost as heat inside the resistor. Resistance of a wire depends on the geometry of the wire. From experiment, it was observed that resistance is directly proportional to the length of the wire and inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area of the wire. So we get the relation R equals rho L over A. This means when length L increases, resistance increases. Why? Because electrons face more collisions while traveling a longer path. And when the cross-sectional area A increases, electrons get more space to flow. Collisions reduces and hence resistance decreases. Here, the constant rho is called resistivity. Resistivity depends on the material of the wire or sample. And for a given material, it is constant. That means resistivity rho is independent of the geometry of the wire. This can be understood clearly using this formula. I equals NEA Vd. From the previous video, we already know that drift velocity Vd equals eV tau over ml. Now if we substitute this value of drift velocity into the current equation and then invert the complete equation, we get 1 over I equals ml over Ne square AV tau. Now take V to the right side and we get V over I. Now from Ohm's law, we know that V over I is equals to resistance. So now let's understand the constants in the equation. M is the mass of the electron, a universal constant. N is the electron density, which depends on the material. E is the charge of an electron, again a universal constant. Tau is the relaxation time, which depends on temperature. And here we are studying everything at constant temperature. So all these quantities are either material dependent or unchangeable constants. This entire combination forms resistivity rho, which is rho equals m divided by Ne squared tau. So at constant temperature, unless we change the material, resistivity will not change. This is why resistivity is also called specific resistance. And from this equation itself, it is clear that resistivity is completely independent of length and area. Now from the formula R equals rho L by A, we can also define resistivity like this. The resistivity of a material is numerically equal to the resistance when a current flows through a conductor of unit length, having unit cross-sectional area. From this formula, we can easily find the unit of resistivity, which comes out to be ohm meter. Now, many students get confused about what happens to resistivity when temperature increases. So let's look again at the resistivity equation for conductors like metals and conducting wires. We saw in the previous video that when temperature increases, collision increases. Because of this, relaxation time tau decreases. From the equation, we can clearly see that resistivity is inversely proportional to relaxation time. So if tau decreases, resistivity increases. But there are some different types of materials where when temperature changes, other variables of resistivity also change. For example, electron density and relaxation time may behave differently. So in such materials, resistivity may increase or decrease. You can see this clearly on this temperature dependence graph of some materials with resistivity. We have a complete chapter for semiconductors. And in insulators, when temperature increases, their resistivity decreases. This means they become more conductive because thermal energy frees more electrons to move. So in the equation, electron density increases and hence resistivity decreases. Or we can say that conductivity increases at high temperature. Now, what is conductivity? Conductivity is simply the inverse of resistivity. It is denoted by sigma equals 1 divided by rho. Similarly, conductance is the inverse of resistance. It is denoted by G equals 1 over R. Conductance tells us how easily a specific object allows current to flow, and conductivity tells us how good a material is at conducting current intrinsically. So both conductance and conductivity are properties of conductor, while resistance and resistivity are often discussed in the context of insulators. Since electric current and conductors have a deep microscopic connection, we now move to the microscopic form of Ohm's law. We already know from Ohm's law that V equals IR. From the microscopic form, voltage V can be written as EL. Current I can be written as JA, where J is current density and it is a vector quantity. And resistance R can be written as rho L over A. Now simply this equation, after simplification we get J equals E divided by rho. And since rho equals 1 divided by conductivity sigma, we finally get the microscopic miniature form of Ohm's law. Current density J equals sigma E. So from this equation, if we replace the wire with another wire of higher conductivity, the current density increases. This discussion is completely from the perspective of conductors, because conductors allow current to flow. The microscopic form of Ohm's law is taught to connect what we see in electric circuit with what actually happens inside the material at the microscopic level. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching.